Let's get into some drag race news. So Bob the Drag Queen has been getting dragged on social media over a resurfaced video that he was doing on an episode of Sibling Rivalry that came about 7 years ago. I can't believe it's been 7 years that he's been doing Sibling Rivalry with Monet Exchange. So there was a video in the episode, they were making a joke about race play and saying that they found it hot. A couple of days ago, I happened to be minding my business on TikTok. I'm not sure if I happened to just come across it or somebody sent it to me. I can never remember what all this other stuff. All I know is I'm so bombarded with information. I never remember how a lot of the source of it comes about. But long story short, I saw that Mo Hart had did a video, had alluded to it. And I was like, wait, what's going on? Because I had totally forgot about the whole race play situation that happened with them in regards to that. So, with all of that being said, and all this resurfacing, because that always happens. Everything old ends up being new. You could address it till the cows come home, and Bob will address it today, which he did address it in a video, and I'm gonna play that for you in a second. But years from now, somebody ain't gonna remember that he addressed it. They're gonna bring it up, and then he's gonna have to address it again. That's the unfortunate name of the game in this situation. So anyway, he went and took the TikTok and addressed the allegations or the video. And here's what they had to say. We'll come back and talk. Please hold.
I want to talk about something that's been going on TikTok regarding me, revolving around me. So 7 years ago, it's 2025 today. 7 years ago, there were some jokes on my podcast made about race play. And I was saying the jokes, and I was like, that's hot, that's hot. And to be clear, I was just joking. Now, I'm not one of those comedians who's like, I stand by every joke I've ever told. I would never apologize for a joke. I don't think that's the mark of a good comedian or a good person, for that matter. Someone who can't acknowledge their part in something, or there's something they don't stand by something they said or did in the past. And I also acknowledge that the jokes were harmful. Like, now I get that. I see that, right? Is that a joke that I find funny today? No. Is it a joke I would tell today? No. But at the time, I did tell the joke, and I did find it very funny. But I want to be clear about one thing. I have never in my life engaged in race play. Ever, never, not once. You can search high, low, every corner of the earth. You will literally never find a single person who has ever engaged in race play with me, because that has literally never happened once. Okay? Someone mentioned some photo shoots that I did back in the day, these blackface photos, which, to be honest, if I'm being fully honest, I still stand by those photos. I think they're really great photos. They were really photos that I did this photo series to depict how it felt to perform as a Black person in front of white audiences. Because I was working in New York City years ago in Chelsea. I love working in those bars too. In Chelsea and in the West Village. And my audiences were mixed. There were like Black audiences, white audiences. But then I performed this bar uptown called No Parking. And if you remember No Parking, you remember No Parking. It was a Black club
I do.
uptown. And it was like a Black and Hispanic club, but mostly a Black club uptown.
Mm-hmm.
And I performed there with Honey Davenport, actually. Shout out to my sister Honey Davenport.
I
And I remember
know.
performing there and be like, oh my God, this is such a different experience, because the audience is like exclusively a Black audience. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, this feels so much different than when I'm performing for a mixed audience, like I was doing in Chelsea. And that's what those photos were for. My only wish that if I can go back and change anything, I did them with this photographer named Magnus Hastings. He's a celebrity photographer, and he was doing photos in New York City. And I was like, oh, I want to do a photo with Magnus Hastings. This is my idea that I have. I wish I can go back and do it with a Black photographer, but hindsight's 2020. But I do want to be clear about some things. Again, I know the clip is out there, and I'm not denying that the clip was said. It's my voice. It's not AI. It is my voice. It was 7 years ago. It was a joke that was told on my podcast. Then I was agreeing with the joke and going along with the joke. And even then, in that moment, I cleared up that I don't do that, and that I haven't done that. But that seems to be unclear. And it's not. I'm not one of the folks who's like, y'all just don't get humor. Maybe the joke just wasn't funny to you. And at the time, to me, it was funny. Today, I probably wouldn't laugh at it. Actually, today I wouldn't. But I did tell the joke. So, I mean, I hope this clears it up for you.
Well, I do feel like, yeah, it did. So I hope we can all move on from this. finally. But yeah, it's like, look, when you know better, you do better. A lot of us have said and done some things that we're not necessarily proud of. I know at the time I was like, oh yeah, it was funny, ha ha, he, whatever the case is. But excuse me, but in this day and age, it's like, yeah, the whole race play thing it's a very sensitive, touchy subject. A lot of people don't want to be out here thinking like, oh, you like when white people call you the N-word while he hitting it from the back or whatever kind of situation y'all got going on. It's like, yeah, you got to be very mindful of some of the stuff. But I know like those type of jokes, it doesn't really resonate well with a lot of people. So how do you make a race play joke, especially when you black, funny? Especially because we're in a sensitive time where anytime we get any kind of black celebrity representation and we see that they're in a relationship with someone, the first thing I think a lot of people look at is they run to white men for validation, or they want to get in a relationship with someone who's white or someone who is racially ambiguous. Like recently, we talked about Billy Porter's new man, and Billy Porter man up in there with all them hugging up on each other, him making the comments. It's like, yeah, his husband was white. The guy that he was dating, I don't know what his nationality is, but he ain't black. And I think, you know, there's a deep rooted thing there, especially when it comes to black queer people who are out and proud and of themselves. They go where they're wanted, they go where they're accepted, they go where they're embraced. And when a lot of times you have black people who don't embrace black queer people in spaces because of the church or whatever the case is, yeah, unfortunately they're going to gravitate towards those other spaces. They're going to gravitate towards a lot of those venues that are, especially when you're crossing over into something like a RuPaul's Drag Race, where they're more accepted in the white spaces than they would be at like the Emmys or the VMAs and stuff, not the BET Awards. They'll be accepted over there on those white spaces. So yeah, they're gonna go where they're accepted. They're gonna go where they want it. They're gonna go where they feel like they're appreciated and loved. Now, when it spills over, because I have no problem with interracial relationships, I am a product of mixed race relationships. But loving on that person because you love that person is different than somebody getting in an interracial relationship because they feel like it gives some sort of value or some validation or some sort of cool points for whatever they trying to do, if they trying to move up in the world for a career or whatever the case is. So in a way, I'm glad, well, not in a way, I am actually glad that he spoke out on this whole situation. I like Bob. I'm a fan of Bob's stuff. I mean, the thing he said about Magnus Hastings, I was like, I agree. Maybe you should have hit up my friend David Laugh. I'm sure he would have had no problem at the time coming down to New York and doing that photo shoot with you. And you guys have done plenty of photo shoots together. So I definitely would I get what you were doing, and I'm so glad that he shouted out no parking, because I told you that was my club back in the day. I told you I messed with a man that was already in a relationship up in no parking. Oh, I was a mess back in them days. I found the Lord since then. I've been rehabilitated. And if y'all believe that I have a real estate license and I have a home in Boca to sell you. But anyway, so I say all of this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Bob the drag queen had to say about the whole race play debacle that he's still having to pay the price for 7 years later? Hopefully this puts it to bed. Fellow Drag Race girls, leave it alone. People stop resurfacing this and bringing it up. He addressed it. Let's move on we got bigger fish to fry, especially in 2025. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.